Thank you so very much for being back. And if you just joined us or you're still with us, it's still Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our main conversation for today. The African Democratic Congress ADC, recently adopted by opposition leaders, including Atiku Abubakar and Peter Gregory Obi, of course, is intensifying efforts to win over at least 5 sitting governors before the 2027 elections. Insiders revealed that internal rift in the People's Democratic Party (PDP) have already led to key defections, with 5 PDP leaders from states like Benue, Niger, and Kano joining the ADC. Prominent figures such as David Mark, Rauf, Aregbesola, and others have also aligned with the coalition, while top APC and PDP politicians are reportedly being asked to join. Despite its growing ranks, the ADC has faced the criticism from APC members and pro-Tinubu voices who argued the coalition lacks credible traction, especially with no current governors openly joining. APC chieftain Ijome Aregbesola described the alliance as a power-hungry project with no real policy direction, claiming it is merely trying to replicate Tinubu's successful 2015 APC merger without key political backing. He also cited internal dissent within the ADC as an early sign of instability. However, sources within the coalition insist that discussions with multiple governors are ongoing and that several APC governors are secretly supporting the movement. With increasing defection from the PDP leaders, citing disunity, lack of internal democracy, and failure to embrace the coalition's vision, the ADC sees momentum building. As the coalition grows, it hopes to become a credible force capable of challenging President Tinubu in 2027. I still have with me Dr. Victor Hyde. Thank you so very much, Doctor, for hanging on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Doctor, I'd love you to maybe start with what you think about the coalition. Lots of people wouldn't want to call it merger, like we observed or experienced in 2014, but is really any difference between either being a merger or being a coalition?
This is not a merger, obviously. A merger is between 2 parties. When I say 2 parties, not just political parties, 2 entities coming together as one. That's a merger. They merge together as one. But these are individuals in a coalition, and a coalition is just a group of people coming together and agreeing to work as one. That's different from a merger. So parties can form a coalition as well. But what you find here is a situation where physical parties, actual parties are not coming, political parties are not coming together, but individuals from these parties, probably driven by a common ideology. We may say no ideology in Nigerian politics, but the thing here is that they have a common objective to rout out the current administration of APC. So they have come together. On that one, they may have their differences, but the one thing they agree on is that APC must be kicked out, or the current president, as the case may be. And so some are nursing grudges, some feel there should be change, they have different reasons, but they have all come together with that united mind to remove the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So they have come together, some from APC, some from PDP, some from different parties. So and that's what's happening.
All right, but with what we have from our reports, some media jobbers from the APC are discrediting the ADC. Is that coming from a place of fear?
Obviously, they never saw this coming. And the only thing to do is what they know how to do very well, to discredit. The same way they discredited Jonathan's government, rubbished it and ran it down. It's the same way they would do this as well and try to dismiss it. But it's like the proverbial ostrich that believes that burying his head in the sand. So if it buries his head in the sand, it means if I bury my head in the sand, if I don't see you, it means you are not seeing me. So they are hoping that by saying that the coalition is useless, it will not go anywhere, that Nigerians will feel that way, forgetting that each of these people come with their own followers. So, but they're entitled to their opinion. So it's neither here nor there. Saying that Nigerians will not buy into it does not mean Nigerians will not buy into it. Saying that it will not work does not mean it will not work. I think that they should just do their homework. And, you know, to go directly to your question, I think they're scared. They never saw this coming. But the coalition is always obviously a step ahead. Why do I say so? They flew a kite with ADA or ADA, ADA. They did that, and they wanted to test water and see whether, of course, they knew that the government through INEC may decide that they're not going to register them, although they don't have a right, because after 90 days, if you don't register and they have made a condition, they are legally a political party. There's that option. So they flew that kite first, and then they all went, everybody went that way, and then they brought the real, the plan B. There might be a plan Z, we never know, but the guys, they have been involved in all the strategy sessions of APC, so they know the DNA of APC better than the rest of us who are on the sideline. So they did that with they've gone into ADC, an existing party. Obviously, you can't ban that, and now they are using directly or indirectly maybe somebody in the party to try and fight it like they did with Labour Party.
Yes, but
I don't know how far that will work. Clearly, they have 2 years ahead to plan. So even if you say you cannot belong to a party until, or you cannot hold political position until after 2 years, they have a clear 2 years to do all of that. You know, so people have their plans. And remember what happened in Abuja, which tells you how very much ahead the ADC strategists are. They flew a kite and said they were going to go to a particular hotel. Wike huffed and puffed and went to block the place, make sure that it wasn't going to happen. But they just flew a kite and they went there, put security, put everything. Obviously, they already had a plan Z. They quietly held their meeting while these were guarding the other gate. And remember, at the head of this thing is a military general, a retired general who understands strategy, understands deception, understands how to create decoys. Retired, I think retired as a brigadier general or
yes,
brigadier general.
Yeah, brigadier general. Yeah, brigadier general.
As a brigadier general. So he understands deception, decoy, and strategy, and they are applying it.
Very well so. Very well so, Doctor. Yeah, now, so we of course, obviously, we are not soothsayers and we do not know what would happen tomorrow. But of course, there is the possibility of political permutations here and there. Looking at the antecedents of those who are behind the ADC, el-Rufai made it possible. Insiders have stated that he was the one that created the Muslim ticket that, of course, won the heart of the northern part of Nigeria. Atiku Amaechi was one of those stakeholders that made it possible that Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was ousted and Buhari replaced him, and so many other notable people. Do you see this coalition doing so much damage to the APC?
There's already enough damage because APC succeeded in dismantling. They entered PDP and destroyed it using Wike and the rest. But what they destroyed has created an even bigger monster. I can assure you right now that anybody who is not in APC right now will want to join ADC. And there may be those in APC right now who probably don't have any stake, you know, who will gladly join ADC because they see it as a credible alternative right now. Because the people who are deciding what happens in Nigeria have now moved to ADC. Most of them. You still have them in APC as well, but right now, the war is a two-way battle now, not three-way anymore. PDP is practically dead. It's in the morgue. So, I mean, well, maybe not, but it's in the emergency room.
Emergency room.
Yes. So, but ADC is now APC and ADC. And just look at what they chose. The two names will be confusing. It might confuse a lot of APC people to vote for ADC. Okay? And so, Agbado is something that is easily recognized. Okay, Agbado is ADA. Come on. That's a symbol for this. But And ADC comes before APC.
It comes before APC, yes. ADC comes before APC.
They have done their calculation. They know what they're doing. And if you look at the script, D looks like P.
Yeah.
Not everybody educated enough to know that you must go down, down, down.
All right, I think we lost Dr. Victor Hai on that one. Maybe a bit of a technical glitch there. But of course, we'll fix that and get the reel back to you. And we're talking about the ADC coalition and asking ourselves how much damage will the ADC do to the APC, knowing those who are behind the ADC and what they are already doing. Will the center hold any longer for the APC? Have they overdone themselves? And is it possible that we might have a change come 2027 if it is possible? This is still Enterprise Weekend. We'll be right back in the jiffy. Please don't go anywhere.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth. 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 Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
The highly anticipated book titled Citizen Jones Selected Prologues is finally here.
This explosive new book takes you on a journey through the finest writing of the ace journalist and broadcaster that will leave you inspired and informed.
The Citizen Jones Selected Prologues of Volume 1 now available. Get your copy now.
For details, contact 0706 9637 935 or send an email to enterprisetv@gmail.com.
Citizen Jones Selected Prologues,
a classical compendium of compelling arguments.
The highly anticipated book titled
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Thank you so very much for being back. And if you just joined us, we were still talking on the coalition and any hope for the APC come 2027. We'll still have Dr. Victor Hai. Dr. Victor Hai, you were stating to some facts just before we had that little glitch.
Yeah, please remind me again now. Just
Yes, so I was asking the amount or the state of damage that could occur with the APC.
I can tell you that the ADC right now poses an existential threat to APC, whether they accept it or not, because it's the next election is for APC to lose. You might say Tinubu has already prepared everything to make sure he wins. Obviously, the Chief Justice of the Federation is his nominee, and the Chief Justice would usually pick the justices that will sit over electoral matter. I know, next to God, the Supreme Court decides finally who wins the election. Okay, Mahmoud Waziri is there, and I can tell you right now that most Nigerians who are on the other side have no confidence in him, except APC members. So you might say that he has those two sides on his side, apart from having the police and the military. But is that really enough? We'll have to wait and see, you know. But don't forget that the people he's dealing with are those who have sat down with him in strategy sessions. They know how he thinks, okay? They have plotted together. They have succeeded before against Jonathan, and there's no reason why they cannot succeed again, because they still have the template, and they have the playbook. Most of them who have this playbook are on the other side. So we'll have to wait and see. Koniman die, Koniman bury him. We'll see how they play out each other.
Very true, Doctor. But let's take a look at the political behavior of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Lots of people, of course, those who were with him that have gone out of the party, would not have expected him to behave the way he has done in the last 2 years plus. So what do you think could be the reason why most of these things, very avoidable, why do you think he had allowed it to fester and had led to the break-up or the shake-up of the APC? In the last 2 years, they've not had no convention. So he is like leading the party by himself, dictating what happens with the party, and not allowing any other person to be part of the decision making of the party. What exactly is it about his political statesmanship that had allowed him to continue in this trajectory?
I think that just like Buhari is predictable, Tinubu is predictable as well. It doesn't share power. You can take that to the bank. That's the Lagos playbook. It has worked for him. You might say that there are those who will argue and say that it has worked for him. It has brought Lagos to where it is right now, that same formula. And it's the same formula he's applying in the north. I mean, in the center, in Abuja. And why should people complain? When they brought in APC, especially the northern politicians were saying, come and do for us what you did in Lagos. We want you to replicate the Lagos experience. He will come and replicate the Lagos experience. If you want the Lagos experience, you should take the whole pill, not part of it. You should swallow everything. The Lagos experience, for it to work, included the autocratic way of doing things, of deciding unilaterally who goes where, who does what happens, and all that. The Lagos experience was him as governor having about 2 or 3 deputies before he finished. The Lagos experience was him picking who stands for election, not necessarily through the democratic process of primaries, you know. So if you want to be like Lagos, if you want Nigeria to be like Lagos, then you must allow the Lagos, you must swallow the whole, you must use the whole, allow him to use the Lagos playbook for Nigeria. That is what is happening. He has not changed. It's who he is. He's not pretending to be otherwise. That's a playbook. That's what he understands and how best he knows to get things done. And so I don't see why those who called for it should be complaining right now. But that's what it is.
Yeah, but looking at our Electoral Act and or is it the Constitution now, we do not know who to lay the blames on. This frequent cross-carpeting of political parties from one party to another. Nigerians sometimes don't even know where a political leader belongs to these days, because this morning they are with Party A, this evening they will be with Party C. Do you think this is even good for our democracy?
Well, can we just pretend that is the Nigerian model right now? Because it's not about to change anytime soon. It's not about to change. So I think it's time we came to terms with the fact that this is how Nigerian politics and politicians are. What they do, the parties are not driven by any form of ideology. They simply go to wherever they feel that they can win or get elected, where they can win elections or where they can get appointments. That's the way it is, unfortunately, and I think it's time we accept it as the Nigerian model. Is it right? That's debatable, but that's what we have come to see. And so I think that we should therefore look at how best to exploit the situation to the benefit of the country.
Yeah, because the reason I asked that question was what we see today with especially using Nyesom Wike as a reference point. He is still with the PDP and actively working for the APC. He had created a template that lots of politicians now are adopting. You would see people with the APC and working for the ADC. You see people with the PDP, Labour Party, working with the ADC. And the question is, don't you think these are reasons why we might not see a long-lasting Fourth Republic?
I don't think that's a problem. Are they delivering? That is what we should concern ourselves with. Can we hold them accountable? It doesn't matter what party. Parties are just special purpose vehicles, especially in Nigeria. The thing is, the man there, is he performing? That's what we should begin to look at right now. How they get into power. But after all, the essence of political power is to be able to get into office to effect change. When I say effect change, effect your policies and all that. If you feel strongly about the environment, then, and people in government are not doing it, you go into politics or you sponsor someone to go in so that they can be your voice on the environment. If you feel strongly about education and you feel that you're not getting, education is not getting the priority issue, you sponsor someone or a party that will be heavy on education. This is the same everywhere, which is why I have things like the Green Party in many European countries. You also have the Labour Party to look after the interests of Labour. Those who are conservatives, I'm talking about ideology now, they would follow the parties, the conservative parties, by whatever name they're called. So basically the most important thing is entering there and having that power to effect change for the good of the people, not for individuals, which unfortunately is what we see most of here, because a lot of our politicians are driven by stomach, what Farage calls stomach infrastructure.
Very true, because the truth of the matter is Nigerians actually do not care that much where you belong to. What they care about is there food for them when they work hard. Are they able to pay for school fees for their wards and all that? That's what they're very so concerned about. But lastly, Doctor, let's look at the flag bearer of the ADC. How do you think they can have it going on, possibly to take away President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the State House? Who do you think is the best fit? Who does the cap fit with the ADC that might possibly make Nigerians come out en masse and have them make a home run?
Now you're asking me to vote and show you my voters, what do you call it?
No, just allow us, just do the permutation if it's possible.
I do permutations, but not necessarily what my opinion is. Now what I'm saying is just analysis.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with my personal opinion.
Yes,
or
of course.
preference.
Yeah, very well.
So in the agency right now, who are the prominent people there? First, the argument is that the South should be allowed to complete its 8 years. Okay? Mm-hmm. If that were the case, who are the leading candidates? Two: Rotimi Amaechi and Peter Obi. Peter Obi obviously has the edge because he has been tried and tested on the ballot. But for him to succeed, he has to have northern backing. Are the ADC leaders from the north willing to give him that, as the head of the coalition? I mean, to make him the head of the coalition going into the next election? That if they do that, and then they support him, and then they do the marketing, which means that they speak to their people. And remember I said earlier on that each of these politicians come with their supporters. If they're able to speak to their supporters, why not? After all, Jonathan has won as president, a southern president in the north with PDP before now. Obasanjo has done the same thing as well. So it is not impossible. On the other hand, there's Atiku. Some might argue that age is catching up with him. Some might say, has he not tried enough? But there are also others who will say, look, he has everything it takes because, he's an absolute politician. He has a lot of supporters who will leave PDP gladly for
Very
him.
well.
Then there's a northern factor. And then, so there's that. But I think for this to work very well, the two leading, el-Rufai may have his own ambitions, but in the face of these two, he may be hoping that Obi may take it so that he can come in as vice presidential candidate, because he obviously cannot be the arrowhead, especially with someone like Atiku there, still willing to run, for office. So in terms of permutation, you might see them pushing Obi, and then maybe an el-Rufai or someone else, if the Northerners agree to back him up, going as the vice presidential candidate. On the other hand, another permutation might be an Atiku. If Atiku will agree to run a single term, then he might be able to convince Obi to join him. And if he's going to keep his word, so that Obi will come in as vice presidential candidate. And if that is the case, then Obi has very little choice, because the truth is that no matter whatever people say, the man in Karanamuda, I know he has tried to, do some CSR, if I may use that word, in the north, in some northern villages. But
well, how much of that would convince the northerners?
It's not impactful. So what he needs is a situation where, if I were to advise, I would say, take the vice presidential candidate role, allow someone from the north so that they can, get the votes are still in the north. Let's not deceive ourselves.
Very true.
Be pragmatic here now, so they can run as vice presidential candidate, and then they will support him after either 4 years or 8 years, as the case may be. He stands a better chance doing that. But if they support him ab initio, then he will win. Then the other thing is that as a candidate, or going into, for there not being rancor, there should be open and transparent primaries. So if there are primaries and Obi wins, they will support him. If Atiku wins, they will support him. Although I suspect that they might give it to Atiku, in which case Obi has no problem with Atiku, they might still run again. But this time, then their problem will be how to navigate INEC and the Supreme Court. That shouldn't be their headache. They then think about how to navigate those two monsters.
Very, very true. There are lots of interest with the ADC. We have Lamido saying, I will support Peter Obi if he emerges a coalition candidate, and of course lots of other things. But of course, what Nigerians are so much interested in is to see
Lamido is also, if Obi emerges, Lamido is also a potential.
Yeah, for advice.
But let me say something here now. Take note of what I'm about to say. Lamido, I think, is Fulani. el-Rufai is Fulani.
Atiku
Fulani. There's a problem right now.
Okay.
And that problem is between in the north, between the Hausa and indigenous people and the Fulani. I read and write the language Hausa very, very well. I mean, very, very well, even if I don't look like it. And I'm in several rooms right now where I'm listening and I'm hearing what's going on. The Hausas, who are actually the majority, who have the numbers, are determined right now not to have anything to do with the Fulani. But the Fulanis, of course, are the ones that are ruling. They are the emirs, they are the ones in eminent position. The Hausas have felt that they have been marginalized for too long, and they want to take back power, whatever that means, and by whatever means necessary. They want to install their people now as governors across the northern states. So that's a problem potentially in 2027. Now, what's his name? Tinubu, the president? Excuse my putting it, I was trying to recall. I don't mean any disrespect. The president, if he has this information, will know what to do with it. What we hear, we don't know how true it is, that he's thinking about Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso is also Fulani. So what can neutralize it is, if there's Kwankwaso on one ticket and there's a Fulani man on the other ticket, then the Hausas have no choice. They will have to pick what they consider the lesser evil to them from their perspective. Okay? So, but just take note of what I'm saying right now. However, if anyone picks a Hausa and the other one picks a Fulani, then he can be sure of a huge harvest from the Hausa voters.
All right, it's a developing story and very so interesting. But most importantly for us in the media, well, we have so much to talk about, especially with the coalition. Before now, we thought we only had just one party, which the former APC chairman, Ganduje, said there wasn't anything wrong with having just one party, and we had nothing to talk more about. But with the coalition now, we have more than enough story to talk about. It's a developing one, and we promise right here on Enterprise Television to let you have them as it unfolds. Thank you so very much, Dr. Victor Hai, for being here. We truly do appreciate you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and just to let you know that Dr. Victor Hai is a development communicator, a public affairs analyst. We hope that he would be here next time to, of course, do justice to some of the things that we have. But that's just about the time for our show for today. Please do well to follow us. If you may, you can always subscribe. You can always visit us to read more on everything we've talked about today. That is on enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally rewatch when you visit us. And of course, subscribe on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a splendid weekend. On behalf of the entire team of Enterprise Television, bye-bye from us. Chusi.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.